we are kicking things off with a massive legal showdown. Apple has just filed an emergency petition to the U.S. Supreme Court asking for a temporary suspension of the App Store Commission calculation, pending further review in the epic battle against Epic Games. Apple argues that without this stay, they face defending the core of their entire business model in court, which they claim will result in a very negative finding of guilt. They are also worried about having to disclose confidential commercial information, an irreversible step in this high-stakes legal fight.
Never get caught with a dead phone again. This INIU portable charger is compact, travel-friendly, and gives you fast 45-watt charging with a built-in USB-C cable, so there's no need to carry extra cords. With 10,000 mAh power, it's perfect for busy days, trips, emergencies, or anytime your battery drops too low. Grab yours on Amazon through the link in the comments before your phone hits 1%.
Next up, the gaming world is celebrating big news as the Epic Games Store Holiday Sale 2025 officially kicks off. And the headline grabber is the immediate, free availability of the massive open-world RPG Hogwarts Legacy until December 18th. But that's just the start to a sale packed with unbelievable deals, featuring massive discounts on titles from Rockstar Games, Remedy Entertainment, and even a staggering 90% off for a top 4X strategy game. You do not want to miss these deals. But the legal battle continues to escalate. In a major development, the U.S. Supreme Court has officially rejected Apple's attempt to block a judicial order that required them to open up their App Store following the Epic v. Apple antitrust case. This decision means Apple will now return to the trial court in Oakland to argue over the commission rate they can lawfully charge for app transactions, marking a major shift in the dispute. This Supreme Court ruling confirms that Apple's efforts to stall have hit a wall, and the fight for the future of the app market is far from over. We have the full breakdown on what this means for developers and consumers, and we'll be tracking every move. Stay locked right here for the rest of the news. Apple has filed an emergency petition with the U.S. Supreme Court seeking a temporary suspension of the App Store Commission calculation, pending further consideration of recent developments in its ongoing legal battle against Epic Games. According to reports from MacRumors, Apple argues that allowing the commissions to continue without a stay would force the company to defend the core of its business model in court, potentially resulting in a very negative imprint due to an improper finding of guilt for disobeying a prior court order. Furthermore, Apple contends that proceeding would necessitate the disclosure of confidential commercial information, an irreversible step for the company. The legal dispute stems from a 2021 order by the District Court for the Northern District of California, which mandated that Apple ease restrictions prohibiting users from redirecting payments outside the App Store. At that time, Apple made a decision, but continued to charge fees from alternative payment methods, leading the court to find the company guilty of willful and intentional violation of the order. Adding to the complexity, in April 2025, Apple received a ban on charging fees from alternative payment methods, which the company subsequently decided to appeal. While Apple's initial appeal to the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit was successful, that appellate court subsequently ordered the district court to calculate a new fee, a calculation Apple is now attempting to halt. Apple is seeking to maintain the current 0% fee structure throughout the duration of the Supreme Court trial. Should the Supreme Court deny the stay or decline to hear the case, Apple and Epic Games will return to the district court to determine the permissible fee structure Apple can implement. The Epic Games Store Holiday Sale 2025 has officially launched, kicking off the festive season with major announcements and deep discounts across its catalog. The headline news is the immediate, free availability of the massive open-world RPG, Hogwarts Legacy, which will be free until December 18. Furthermore, Epic has confirmed the return of its mystery game vault, promising another free title reveal in just 6 days. Beyond the free offering, the sale features significant markdowns on some of gaming's biggest titles. Top 5 unmissable deals have been identified for gamers looking to clear wishlists. The list includes Rockstar's open-world masterpiece, currently available at a massive 75% discount, marking one of the lowest prices seen for the acclaimed Western. Remedy's critically praised survival horror sequel is also marked down by 70%, offering access to the mind-bending narrative of Dark Place. Respawn's sequel to Fallen Order is seeing an 85% discount, making the new AAA Star Wars adventure an exceptional value. Strategy enthusiasts can capitalize on an incredible 90% off deal for the base game of one of the best 4X strategy titles ever made. For fans of action and spectacle, Insomniac's superhero game is discounted by 60%, featuring improved visuals and ray-traced reflections in its remastered PC version. The Epic Games holiday sale will continue into January, urging players to secure their free copy of Hogwarts Legacy before the December 18 deadline. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected Apple's latest legal maneuver, denying Apple's request for an emergency stay to halt a judicial order stemming from its loss in the Epic v. Apple antitrust case. This decision marks a significant escalation in the ongoing legal battle concerning the control and commission rates within the global app market. Apple sought the stay to prevent being forced to litigate its commission rate under what they characterized as an erroneous and prejudicial contempt label, arguing that the proceedings could reshape the entire app market. Apple's legal team stated that the stay was necessary before the Supreme Court could review the matter. In response, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney strongly condemned Apple's actions on social media, asserting that the company's 5-year strategy of stalling tactics in the U.S. court system, which led to contempt of court findings and criminal referrals for false testimony, is deliberately designed to obstruct relief for developers and consumers. Sweeney urged regulators and law enforcement to intervene. The current situation follows Apple's initial noncompliance with Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers' original order in Epic v. Apple, which included imposing stringent new requirements on its App Store fees following a ruling that found Apple executives had lied under oath. After appealing that ruling, Apple attempted to stall implementation. However, the Supreme Court has consistently refused to intervene in the Epic v. Apple case, mirroring its previous decision not to intervene in the similar Epic v. Google case. This rejection of the emergency stay signals that Apple has exhausted its immediate legal recourse. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined Apple's request to temporarily halt a judicial order finding the company in contempt in an antitrust lawsuit brought by Epic Games. The contempt ruling stemmed from violations of court-mandated changes to Apple's App Store fees. Justice Alina Kagan, speaking for the court, rejected the request to pause the ruling issued by the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which had deemed Apple in contempt regarding its App Store fee practices. This decision signals that Apple will return to U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers in Oakland, California, to continue the dispute over the commission rate Apple can legally charge for app-related transactions. Apple's attempt to seek a Supreme Court stay was reportedly aimed at delaying its return to the trial court while it pursued its challenges before the justices. The long-standing conflict between Apple and Epic Games centers on the rules governing the App Store. The contempt finding and the scope of Apple's obligations are the most recent focal points of this legal battle. Apple has stated that the Ninth Circuit's decision could impact millions of app purchases. Epic Games secured the contempt order last year as part of a 2020 lawsuit seeking to reduce Apple's control over transactions in applications using the iOS operating system and restrictions on app distribution. While Apple had largely prevailed in the broader lawsuit, it was compelled by a 2021 injunction to allow developers to include links directing users to non-Apple payment methods. Apple implemented new restrictions, including a 27% commission on third-party payment system purchases within 7 days of a link click, while maintaining a 30% commission for purchases made directly within the App Store. Epic argued that the new 27% commission violated the earlier injunction, leading the judge to find Apple in civil contempt in 2025. The Ninth Circuit upheld the contempt finding, but permitted Apple to present new arguments regarding the commission rates for digital goods bought through the App Store, but paid for via third-party systems. Apple has contested the violation of the order, arguing that the injunction should not apply to developers beyond Epic Games. In a filing to the Supreme Court, Apple noted that global regulators are closely monitoring the case to determine potential commission rates for covered purchases in major markets outside the United States. Epic Games contends that Apple should not be allowed to circumvent the original injunction, asserting that this would grant Apple further time to maintain unfair profits at the expense of consumers and developers.